to episode number 4 of Dope Discussions. I have a
Hi.
very, very, very special guest today. The one, the only, my boy Elroy. Woo!
Hi. How you doing? Thanks for having me, dude.
I'm so excited to have you on the show, man. It's been a long time coming, and I think you were one of the first 3 people that I had in mind when I thought about starting the podcast. I was like, I definitely need to hit Elroy up, and I was like, I'm sure he's gonna be down, and sure enough, here we are.
Thank you so much, man. So good to be here. I love your show, and everybody who's been on it previous to me being on here is amazing. Like,
Thanks,
respect
dude.
to all of them. Really
I,
happy to
I
be on board.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good thing. Just kind of moving forward. The the ideas that I have planned for it, and just in general, just bringing people together and having dope discussions about music, life, challenges, and everything in between, man. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, and I'm sure people that are watching want to know the story of my boy Elroy, who you are, where you from, how you got the my boy Elroy name, because I honestly don't know the story behind that. So
Oh, really?
I'm sure that would be really interesting to hear.
I
And
thought we totally talked about it before, but I guess,
I, I
yeah,
I don't think so. Or if
we'll
we
open
had
that
it, it,
box.
it was it was probably a good night if I don't remember.
Oh. So yeah, the name My Boy Elroy actually came down the road from the original alias, which was Boy Elroy,
Okay.
and before Boy Elroy, I didn't have an alias, a moniker, a nickname for the artist side of my life, which being into things like graffiti and being into things like just like I was getting into uh, like emceeing with friends and just freestyling here and there to
Yep.
stuff. Huge b boy at heart, and this kind of spawned from a friend of mine. Um, uh, she's from Phoenix, Arizona, Ashley, and she's the one who gave me the name Elroy. So it goes back. My boy Elroy actually starts when we were kind of, I think, what was I? I was like 15 years old or something like that. And she's like, "Do you want to go to a rave, dude?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, I love raves."
Your
I
first
start.
rave?
It wasn't my first, but it was like maybe a year after I went to a couple, and I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, these were like raves. These were like real raves, though. These were." They would open up the sports arena in San Diego. That's where I'm from
Nice.
originally, and so they would have like Paul Oakenfold and Donald Glaude like splitting the whole thing. It was
Oh
like
man.
some pretty
Good
pretty
old
epic,
times.
good old times. And yeah, so this was like a house, like a kind of a, not like a house, but like more just like a, not at an arena. So I was like, all right, let's go. Right. So we're in the car. She's driving this. She drives a Ford Aspire. Now, I don't know if you guys know what those look like, but they're basically like little bubble mobiles. They're like they look like a bean with wheels.
Yeah.
And we're in the car, and her friend was actually driving her car, which she doesn't usually let happen, but he's driving the car. And so he's like, no, he goes, no, that's right. He goes, "Hey Jay, do you think this bubble mobile can drive any faster?" And he looks at her and he goes, "Haha." And she goes, "You could always let me drive my own car, George." And they're like, and then they went, and they look back at me. I'm sitting in the middle, right? I actually legit wearing Oshkoshes at the time. I'm wearing my hat cocked to the side, hair's bleached just like this. And they looked at each other, and they literally at the same time said, "Elroy!" And I was like, "Yeah, this is it." I was like, "There it is." They're like, "You're Elroy, bro." I was like, "I am Elroy." I was like, "This is amazing." So that's how it started. I started doing graffiti as Elroy. I started like tagging Elroy.
Oh, that's
And then I
awesome.
was like, I didn't want to have just the name Elroy, and I was like, I kind of need like a real thing, like a real name,
I love it.
uh,
It's very unique and
artist
it's
name.
very catchy. So it's
Yeah,
like,
it had to evolve to get to where it is. In about 2005 is when I switched it to My Boy Elroy. So I decided to go into the name Boy Elroy because it was catchy and it kind of, had a little flow and it was fun to tag and everything like that. So I was going by Boy Elroy for a long time. And then there's this band, this Filipino punk rock band, and their name is Boy Elroy. I'm like, oh no, oh no, what are we gonna do? And I even like considered hitting him up, being like, yeah, listen, you know what I mean? This is really tough for me to say, but you guys are gonna have to stop.
Yeah, we need
I
to have a
couldn't
little
do it
cat.
though. I literally wrote a whole email out and everything, and I was like, I can't do it, man. I'm like, these guys, they already do their thing, and like, I literally did have the name way before they even like were a band and were doing this stuff. So I was like compelled to kind of like patent the name and like be the guy who has the name. And I was just like, I'm not that guy. I'm like, I'm just gonna be like, all right, you know what? You could take that name, blah blah blah. And I decided to add the word "my" to it, and it really contributed to the delivery of it in ways that when you're addressing my name to somebody, it becomes something that's personal to them.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, have you heard of my Boy Elroy? And they're like, your Boy Elroy? It's like, no, but yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then I was at the same time, but and then it wasn't about being like a young person. It wasn't about being a boy anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
so that's what when I changed it in 2005. I thought that was a really fun move for that, and it became I don't know, everybody just kind of ate it up, and I wanted that. I wanted to be recognized as somebody that's my friend, because
No,
um
that's really like it's almost like a smart marketing move. Like anytime anyone introduces you or addresses you, it's like Bible Elroy. So people like subconsciously you think, oh, like like he's your boy. Like you know him. You guys are tight. So it's a good thing.
awesome. Yeah, so that's how it happened.
I
I mean, it
love it.
started with
Yeah,
Elroy, and then it went to Boy Elroy, and this was literally like,
I can't
you
believe I've
know
never heard that the story of Bible
yeah.
Elroy. I love it.
And here we are.
uh,
But
you
yeah, that's it.
you mentioned you were born in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
How did you end up in Chicago?
Oh wow, fun story. And I could try to make it as short as possible
I love fun stories.
for time's sake, so I can talk about all the fun stuff within the time that we have here. Whoo, how does this one start? Okay, it's a really fun one. It's a really fun one, and it's a really miraculous story, and I'm really happy to tell it because it's. I hope that somebody would be able to get inspiration from this story, just because it's a very miraculous thing that happened. Just domino affecting
I
one thing
love
after
it.
the other. Um, so basically, as I started out kind of beatboxing, and I started beatboxing when I was probably like 4 or 5 years old. As far as I know, I was making
Amazing.
music like legit with my mouth forever. And my sister was like, I was telling everybody, I was like, I probably did it since like 9 or 10. She's like, bro, you were like making them beats at like 2. I was like, what? I was like,
Yes.
those bubbly noises? No, that was 1. But so I started beatboxing, and beatboxing was always been a thing that I love to do. It was always kind of a thing that just stuck with me, and it's also a thing that kind of gave way to me as an artist, and something that people recognize and wouldn't forget. So I was always beatboxing. I've been playing drums since I was probably about 9 years old, and then I started DJing in '98 when I was around 14. And but beatboxing is always that thing that stuck. So no matter what I did musically, beatboxing was always the thing. And they're like, Elroy, the beatboxer. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. So basically, we lived in San Diego for about 18 years of my life, and then my mom had met somebody who showed her a really beautiful place in Colorado called Grand County, where Winter Park, Grand Lake. It's like Winter Park is Mary Jane is probably the most popular ski resort town in Colorado now. So we moved out. We moved out there, um, and I was with a bunch of bands and stuff. I started a bunch of bands playing drums and DJing and stuff out there, which is just kind of up there. But
Yeah.
I came back to San Diego right after. So basically, like right before I was going to turn 18, I actually was just about to graduate high school. My mom's like, "We're going." And I was like, "Oh, dude," I'm literally on my last semester of my senior year of high school. Can we just like And she's like, we're going. Are you coming? Are you staying? And I was like, I'm going. So I decided, hey, let's go. Let's go to Colorado and just do one semester of school and be done with it. So I finished school. I came back to San Diego. I worked. I caught back up with a bunch of buddies and music projects that we were doing. Then I moved to San Francisco, and I lived out there for like 4 months. And then I moved back to Colorado, and then I moved back to San Diego, back to San Francisco again, and then back to Colorado. And I did that 3 times within the span of 3 years.
That's a lot of moving.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun too. Somehow I was able to like uproot myself and not be too grounded, and that was the fun of it. Is being
That's
able
awesome.
To, I really wanted to go to school. My dad had pretty much a free scholarship for me, but like music was my calling. He told me, you'd be an idiot if you wouldn't do this, and like I couldn't find words enough to tell him, listen, I really, really want to pursue my career as a musician and these projects that I'm building up. And, he kind of frowned upon it, but it's what I wanted to do. So I didn't go to school. I didn't lock down like that, but I got, all the street knowledge, and I learned so much through, production and DJing and drumming and just like being all over the United States, getting to, travel and stuff like that. So I come back to Colorado, and this band Mama's Cookin' was playing, and my friends were opening for him. Super stoked about this, and they were like, we would love to have you come and see the show. We think you'd love this band. I was like, all right, I'll definitely come support the show. So this band was killer. Mama's Cookin' was killer. They were living in Gunnison, Colorado. They were like funk, hip hop, soul, and rock with blues. It was like all the things.
Oh, wow.
So
nice.
Funky, so good, and so fresh. It was just the whole time, just like stinky face, just like just sturgeon face. Like
that's the biggest compliment a musician can get, man.
Yeah, just that stinky sturgeon. So,
yes.
Yeah. And I'm just like getting it with these guys. Like I didn't even expect for them to come and just kill it. Yes, so they in the middle of 2 of their songs, they're like, "All right, yo, so we heard like there's a kid out there who we got a kid out there who's like pretty dope beatboxer." And I was like, oh, sick, dude. There's another dude who beatboxes.
Nice.
I'm like, that is gonna be sick. I'm like,
I see where this is going.
You know what I mean? And I was like, this is gonna be tight. I was like, I never get to see in the sticks in Colorado. I was like, I can't wait to see another beatboxer for like up in the mountains. And then like I'm looking around, and all of a sudden, all my friends are looking at me, and I'm like, no. No, you're not. No. And they're like, get up there, dude. I was like, no. I was just like blood red. I'm like, oh my God. Oh no. Okay. Really? I'm the dude? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do it. Oh, let's do it. Hey guys. I'm like walking up to them like, hey, you guys are killing it. Wow. And they were like, don't be shy, dude. We heard you're dope, and just do your thing. I was like, all right. And like wash it off. Like,
oh man. Like on the spot.
On the spot. And that's the thing that to me is kind of a not a peeve, but it just is a little bit uncomfortable. Hey, what's up? This is my friend Elroy. He's the sickest beatboxer. Do it. And you're like, you know what I'm saying? You didn't even get to like shake anybody's hand yet. They're like, go.
Do it. Come on, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I'm like,
do the thing, man. Do the thing. Come on.
Right? Man, so I beatboxed with these guys, and it worked out really well. It was a lot of fun, and we ended up hanging out for that show. Became really good friends, like immediately. They all had such good. They were just such nice dudes, wholesome, and they were just killing it. like keys, bass, guitar, drums. Just a solid band, right? So I made friends with them. Then all of a sudden they said they're going to play again in the same location in a month. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be dope. I'll definitely be there. I was like, if you guys want me to beatbox with you, then I'll be a little more prepared, or something like that. They're like, well, of course we want you to. They're like, we expect you to do that. So like, I said, I got a harmonica. I could do a beatbox harmonica thing if you guys want to do it in the key or whatever. And they were like, that sounds amazing. Let's do it. So we did it. And don't forget, we're still in the story of how I got to Chicago. We're not, right? We're tying into that. But this
Right.
is like all the miraculous things
This
that
might be
happened.
like a 3-part episode, I feel like.
Nice. And tune in next month.
There's so much to talk about, man.
So anyway, this is a really fun. It's a really fun story to tell, and for anybody who hasn't heard it, it's really really inspiring to tell, because there's a magic that really holds everything together in this life, on this planet, in this universe, and I'm a huge fan of it. And you can call it whatever you want, but whatever it is that drove me to be in Chicago through the steps that it took, which is what I'm talking about and almost at. It's been a real amazing ride just to like give into it, and just to as a beatboxer kind of let whatever the power it is fill in the space where I need to be, and give me the signs. So
Yeah.
I follow the signs pretty much. So they came back and they played this show, and I brought my harmonica and we did this beatbox harmonica thing. It was a great show. And that night we ended up, they're like, hey, where's the liquor stores? I'm like, I'll go get you booze, you know? So I went and got him some booze, and then we were hanging out drinking, and they're like, hey, we're doing like a two show run in Boulder and Fort Collins. It's going to be a quick thing. Do you want to come and maybe like feature with us and like sell some merch? We'll throw you some bucks. And I was like, cool, that'd be dope. So we did that. And then while I'm down there, they're like, hey, we don't know if you're down to do this, but we're doing a 32 show and 35-day tour down to all the way down to Florida from Colorado, from Gunnison, Colorado, down to
Wow.
Florida, all the way back up to Jackson Hole, Florida, and then to Atlanta, Georgia, and then back over. And then went to the Smoky Mountains and all that stuff. It was tons of fun. So I said, yeah, of course, I'd love to do that. I've never been on tour. It's like, this would be amazing. So it was a huge life-changing experience getting to travel all over the country with these guys. And like, I, sold their merch, and the budget was super low. I didn't care. I'm like on the road with like these really
Right.
cool
No, that
dudes.
sounds amazing. Just as
It
an
was so fun.
experience.
Exactly. And I'm like, I will just be broke. Most people, and this is something I've learned. Most people who get up and go, regardless of their money situation, but even more so with people who have less money than more, end up having the best stories to tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Wouldn't you agree? Like,
100%.
So that's kind of how that was. I had a lot of fun with these guys, and then we're coming back, right? So we're coming back to Colorado, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to play at this last show at a first annual music festival in Crested Butte, Colorado. And there's this band that's going to be playing, and we think you're really going to like them, Elroy. And I was like, oh, dope. Who are they? And they're like, the name's Liquid Soul. And they're going to be headlining. And I was like, oh, man, I can't wait to hear these dudes, right? So we play the festival, we get it done, and then that night, so we got to hear them play, but they weren't there early, so they didn't hear us play. But then we played a show that same night at another venue that was like a block away, that wasn't the actual festival. And so Mars Williams, the sax player, a number of people came, DJ Eddie Mills, who was a DJ, Marcel Wilkes, Mr. Greenweeds, Phil Ajarapu, the bass player. A few of them came and saw Mars come and feature with Mama's Cookin'. So it was like a huge honor to have Mars Williams, And like, mind you, when I heard Liquid Soul play for the first time, I was just losing it. I was dancing so hard to a band. I was like, this is the funkiest, dopest stuff I've ever heard. And they've been around forever, right? And man, I was in love with these guys. But then Eddie Mills was there, and he was like listening. So he heard me do a harmonica beatbox for my segment with them, right? And he leans over to Mars, and he's like, yo, we need to get this dude on our album. He's like, we need to fly this guy out to Chicago and get him on our album, right? And I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, after they called me, they took them about 2 weeks, but they called me and they said, hey, we really like your stuff. Are you interested in being on our next 5th album that's coming out? We'll fly you out, and you can, stay with Phil or whatever. And yes, I'd love to. So I came and I featured with them. We played at the Note, before it became the Blue Note, that was pretty iconic as far as, house music and all that stuff here in Chicago, right there in Wicker Park. So I got to come. I played a show. I recorded with them. I fell in love with Chicago. It was immediate. Like, the house music scene, I just knew was going to be like the love of my life, just to be around.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I really wanted to be as close to a house as possible.
And
So
what year was that when you moved here to do the show with Liquid Soul?
that was 2004.
Okay.
That was like November of 2004 that I did that. And then I came back to Colorado, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, that was amazing. That city was amazing. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to make like a little bit of skrill. I think I'm going to like sell my drum set. I just bought a drum set for my first time. I've been playing drums, and I bought this 7-piece Pearl Export drum set that was super amazing. Was so excited to have it. And then I'm like, I think I'm probably going to have to just like, you know, go do something. Like I can't be in this town anymore. I need to
Yeah.
go to San Diego or something, like someplace that I still have roots. But I can't go to Chicago. I don't know. I mean, I know the guys, but I'm not going to like hang on to their backs and be like, oh, you know, take care of me.
Please, I need to be here.
Until I'm grown.
Take me
So
under your wing.
right, it's like just like so I was gonna go back to San Diego, and I'm like, you know, it's good. I'm gonna go back to San Diego, and like before I could do that, I get a call from Mars, and he's like, hey, listen, we're doing a 8-show tour in up like all over Colorado, Denver, Vail, Gunnison, all over the place. And we were actually going through one of the towns that I was living at too. But I mean, I fast forward a little bit. So they said, hey, we're doing an 8-show tour, but they said, you know, our DJ's not going to be able to make it. Do you think that you'd be interested in doing this 8-show tour with us, but taking over for the DJ doing as a beatboxer? And I'm like, no way. Really? I'm like, okay. Like, that's like, how do you like make up for a DJ just being a beatboxer? But
Right.
it happened. So we're like on tour. We're halfway through it. I'm like, hey, we're gonna be going through, you know, Grand County. That's like where we're living up there. And I got my records, and I'd love to play if there's a venue that has turntables. And they're like, oh, you DJ? I'm like, yeah. I told you guys. You know, they didn't want to hear that though. They're like, we got a DJ, or whatever. But it's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I want a DJ. And we ended up actually going through. They met my family, and it was super cool. I picked up my records, or at least like two big crates of records and stuff. And we ended up playing 58, I forgot, the 5882 or something. I think it was in Vail. God, I'm so sorry that my memory's such crap, but it was the last venue, fun fact, last venue that Old Dirty Bastard played at before he passed away. And we played at this venue, and they had turntables literally hanging from the ceiling. It was like, it was sick. It was like, it's like they were all on 4 chains hanging from the ceiling. And so they said, hey, we got, you know, our beatboxer, but he's a DJ. Can he open for us? And they were like, yeah, whatever. And they threw me like, I don't know, $50 or something like that. So I played the set, and it was like hip hop, and like I did like a bunch of mushroom jazz stuff and funky stuff that I think would kind of be fitting for, you know, a Liquid Soul opening thing. And I was doing some scratching and stuff, and they started popping their heads out of the green room, and they're like, so you scratch, huh? Like, yeah, I love scratching. I've been doing it for like
a long time
since '98 now. I'm like, I'm a big boy or something. So they were like, okay, noted, you know. And then we get done with the tour. They go to Chicago, and I'm like, all right, well, that was dope. I got to make some money. This will definitely get me to San Diego. I'm about to get my ticket. I get another call from Mars, and he's like, yo, I don't know if this is something you'd be into, and I know it's kind of a big stretch to ask this question, but would you want to move to Chicago and be Liquid Soul's DJ? And I was like,
that's amazing, man.
What? Like, yes, absolutely. I was like, you had me at hello. I was like, so excited about this. And like in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, house music.
Dude.
And so that was cool. Literally the step that it took to get me to move to Chicago. I literally came here with nothing. I sold my drum set. I've only had my drum set for like 3 months. It was like my pride and joy, and I sold it for like, you know, maybe a little bit more than what I bought it for, because it was worth way more, but I bought it for super cheap because this guy gave me a deal. But I bought it to a friend who was like really stoked, and so she ended up buying the set, and then I basically used the money to pay whatever rent that I could be paying rent for. But I literally brought both my decks, travel cases, and my mixer in a Rubbermaid bin with all the clothes I could fit, just protecting my mixer, duct taped. And that was it. I moved to Chicago with literally those three things, and the first thing I ever owned was a pillow when I moved here. I didn't even have a place for like a month. Got a
Amazing.
Craigslist, and then yeah, and that's how it all happened. Then it's like boom, just being a beatboxer, you know. Just to kind of recap, it just kind of like
Dude, I love that story so much.
awesome, awesome. I'm so
And
happy to tell it.
this just goes to show, like, if you pursue something that you truly, genuinely passionate about, right? Something that you love, and no matter what might seem as like a better option or a better path, like present itself, if you like stay true to what you know that like your calling is, and go for that, sooner or later, like much better things will happen to you, compared to if you kind of like, bit the bullet and went left instead of keep going straight. You might have
Mm,
had like a like a solid job, a good apartment or whatever, but you wouldn't really be happy. You know what I mean? You would
couldn't
always
agree more.
be thinking about like, oh man, I wish I would have like kept pursuing my art or my craft or my passion or whatever that may be, that's like burning that fire inside of you.
I couldn't
Um,
agree more with that.
and
Yep.
I feel like I'm 100% sure people will like listen to your story and resonate and be like, oh wow, like I I have like a similar situation or had something similar, but due to circumstances and whatnot, I had to like choose something else, and now I'm like wanting to go back to actually pursuing my dreams and my passion. And this is so cool, man. I love it. Thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with that so much. You know, if you ever have just a, if anybody ever has just a feeling of wanting to do something that they're passionate about, I mean, they're going to come back around to it one way or the other. Like you're either born to do it or not, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like I always say that like we are our own biggest obstacle, right? Like
Mm,
nothing else is gonna stay in your way more than your own mind. Like everything else is irrelevant. It's
mm,
always like our own thoughts and our own like like self-doubt and fear of things that never happen or might never happen, but we're like so in our head about things that we're just kind of like afraid of things that didn't happen yet. You know what I mean? Like it's
mm,
when you like really digest it and like dig deeper, it sounds so absurd, but in reality is just we're all like dealing with that stuff. I don't know. It's just it's crazy to me. It's like it's borderline insanity that all like literally all humans in the world have the same like patterns of thought and kind of like the same reasons why we're not doing kind of like the crazy things that we're like are driven to do, and we don't know why, right? Like, but yeah, anyway, man, this is what I like more than anything, is just kind of like really go one level deeper than your usual conversations, and talk about things that we all have inside of us but rarely bring it up and talk about it, because
yeah,
because it's
I love that.
just it's your pure raw self, right? Okay, I want to know what sparks your inspiration, specifically with like house music, like how, because you said like you were like beatboxing, hip hop, kind of like in playing drums, and in a like soul funk jazz band. Like how did house music and electronic music kind of like came to be this like massive part of your life?
Well, thanks to the kind folks at Napster.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, it's crazy. Napster came out. I started just kind of diving into some stuff. You know what was actually the first song that really got me into wanting to be a DJ?
What?
It's called Pumpin' by Tom Novi.
I don't know if I'm familiar with
Uh,
it.
and it was actually featured on a Donald Glaude album. It's called Pumpin'. It's the song that goes, in the streets going rock
In the
right,
streets is gonna rock
in the
right.
Jeeps going rock
In the
right,
streets is gonna rock
at the
right.
show's going rock
In the
right,
streets is
in
gonna
the
rock
show.
right.
No,
Here we
here we
go
go
with
with the
the
butter,
you
but you
know
know
how
how we
we do.
do when the
In
pumping
the
in the
streets is
Jeeps
gonna
going
rock
rock
right.
right,
In the
at the
streets is
streets
gonna
going
rock
rock
right.
right,
At the
and
show's
it's like,
gonna rock
wait,
right. Here we go with the better you know how we do.
it's just so bass heavy too. It's
Oh my
so
goodness.
nasty. And I heard that and I was just like,
That's
I mean that's when I don't know what it was about that song, but it was so low tone. It's like it was like acid meets like, I don't know. Like that was the first thing that really took me into the whole, like, I think I want to actually like make this happen. I think I want to like be the controller of this vibe, you know.
yeah.
But before I had got to that, it was trance that actually, the first thing that I got into was trance, which is um,
So when you say trance, because like I want to stop you here really quick because this is like a very interesting topic, like specifically on trance, like that the name, like that genre is treated differently like in America compared to like Europe or like the Middle East. Like when you say like trance music, for example, like in the Middle East, like I'm from Israel, so when I growing up, uh, when you say trance, it was automatically being referred to as like psy trance, which is a very
oh
very different style than like like
yes,
Tiesto trance or Paul Oakenfold trance. It's very different. So
yeah.
I know it's kind of like the same, like in like compared to like Europe or the States. So which trance are you talking about?
Well, Paul Oakenfold more or less was just a perfect, like, all-encompassing kind of thing, which was interesting because he started with drum and bass,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just kind of dominated the whole trance scene. Christopher Lawrence
Okay.
was a big one. The Trance All Stars were a lot of fun. There's a bunch of actually it transferred. See what I did there? See what I did there? So it went
And
it
the
went
pun
from
Oscar goes to.
I don't know. Oh wait, did I win? Oh, okay.
Yes,
Here you go.
yes,
Sorry, I didn't mean to go. I'm like,
yes. It was 100% yours.
yeah. um, I love so much. I mean, actually, Transport is by far one of the best. They would say DJ. They would call it an album back then, but one of the best mixes still to this day. And it really hit home when I heard that. When I heard that album for the first time, that album. I mean, Paul Oakenfold stuff was so dope,
Yeah.
so beyond.
I think the CD, or like the compilation that got me hooked on that genre was Traveling, the first CD.
Oh my god! That is the one!
Dude, like I think like the first like four tracks, like to this day, like
Dude,
if I listen to it, like I get goosebumps even now. Like I have goosebumps because just thinking about it and just
that
like
was a game changer.
just the way I felt listening to it for the very first time, and like I remember like
Traveling.
the smells and the sounds and the feelings that I experienced listening to it for the very first time. Like
Addicted.
it's crazy to this
That was
day,
such
man.
a good.
That was like 20 years
Yeah.
ago.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. And
That
CD2 was, like, in itself really good too.
oh, absolutely. But like CD
There was
one was
so
just
much.
like, whoo! I'm on a different plane
Yeah,
of existence right
I
now.
agree with that 100. That was actually my favorite album of his. That's so funny you said that, because like that was like, the Perfecto, like the white,
Yep.
because he has a bunch of after that, but the first Perfecto one that was the double disc was like woohoo. Um, so actually, you know what? It also spawned before I got so house kind of came. Interestingly enough, I kind of grew up with a lot of rock influences, a lot of hip hop influences. My sister was like really a big conduit to me for hearing good music. Like,
Nice.
I mean, my mom and my dad, just tons of music. Michael Jackson was my hero for the longest time. George Michael, Fleetwood Mac, the Beatles,
Yep.
Jimi Hendrix, um, Stevie Wonder, just lots of different influences. But then I got into things like a lot of punk rock as well. But then hip hop came into play. That's kind of like when I met. That's when I met Ashley, and I was getting really into hip hop and just tons of Wu Tang, tons of Gangstar, tons of Mos Def. And Pharaoh Monch. Oh, Black on Both Sides album. Whoa! Forever.
Oh
So there was
man.
that. And then I don't know, then that actually transferred into some drum and bass stuff. And before I got in the house, I was kind of feeling drum and bass stuff. And I was really into Diesel Boys, the Sixth Session. I don't know if you've heard the Sixth Session by
I'm not
Diesel Boy.
familiar. No.
He was young. He was young. He was like 17 years old or something when he
Oh
produced
wow.
this album. It is like one of the most incredible albums. And this is like before you had like Ableton and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was really, really into Diesel Boy, AK-1200, Bad Company. I would like to just put on Bad Company and play some like Marvel versus Capcom for hours or something like that. Just like drum and bass all day. Right?
Oh
So
man.
I was in love with a lot of drum and bass, but then I caught on to the kind of the more melodic and emotional sides of music with trance, and I thought that was kind of more hitting my soul because I absolutely love drum and bass for what it did and how it made me want to move. And hip hop got that it's got one of these, and
Oh,
the kind of
absolutely. Like
the kind of the
all
same
these
thing.
genres make you feel something different. Like it's so interesting, right?
Yeah,
Like for
absolutely, and I mean, it's kind of the same thing when you have hip hop because either get or get get, and you're like, all right, I'm doing the same thing.
right.
So, but I need something else. I need some, you know.
I love
So yeah,
how subtly you introduce your amazing beatboxing skills. Just like yes.
it's how I communicate. It's the only way that I know that
I
you'll know
know.
what I
I
mean.
feel you 100%. I feel you, man. For
So,
for
and
me,
then,
the drum and bass, like what I think it was like the first time that I've heard it was LTJ Bookham was like
oh, dude, yes, I should have
it was
said
like
him probably
the one of
first.
the classics. I forgot the name of the album.
Dude,
Uh,
the Earth album, the one with the Earth on the front, is slanted, and it has that it's that
is it like
track with
Yellow
the
and
Ferris
Black?
Bueller sample. No, no, no. This is the one on the front that just has the Earth, and it's got it's got that one song that's like. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
It's
I
got.
thought it was like the.
Mm. No, you're thinking of.
Oh yes, that's
I'm
right.
talking.
My bad.
I'm talking about the. No, it was. Remember that one track that had the Ferris Bueller sample, and he's like, "I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Life moves
Like,
pretty
oh
fast. You
yes,
don't stop and look around
yes.
once in a while."
You
That
might miss
album.
it. Yes,
That album
yes,
was the
yes. Oh my
jam.
god, yes.
What was the band? What was the band? There was an album that I got when I was in San Francisco at Amoeba. I picked up. Oh, I can get this. Hold on. Logical Progression. Logical Progression was kind of like it was like a drum and bass band, but it was with MC
I'm not
Conrad,
familiar.
and so that was like another LTJ kind of like so. But anyway, those were some of the biggest. When
Yeah.
you said LTJ, I
Oh
was like,
man.
oh man, that was big.
Oh, you
Um,
took me way back, man. Way
Yo, dude,
back.
it's like house music, yes, but like so much
I feel
had
so
to
old
go
right
into
now.
that.
Just like
No,
thinking
you
back about
don't.
that. Oh man. And I still have those CDs. Like I still have them somewhere. Like I know I have them. Like I
Awesome.
did not dispose of them.
I hope you do because I
Uh
don't have any. Oh, you know what? I just bought one of those CD things that you can plug into USB and like burn.
nice.
But I would love to like grab some old drum and bass. So anyway, fast forward to the whole house music thing. There was something that happened to me that I didn't see coming, and that was Naked Music.
Oh
And
yeah.
Naked Music is by far and still to this day, I think, my favorite record label of all time.
I
I
mean Miguel
cannot or
Miggs, man,
never.
is like one of
I
my
mean,
favorite artists.
well, Blue Six was the one who started it. Or
Blue Six.
yes, Blue Six. Um, that record label changed everything for me when they were incorporating real bands with house music, but in a way that it was you can literally DJ it. You can DJ the tracks, and it would go perfectly quantized
Yep.
with everything. And I'm like, and the pocket of it and the real instrumentation.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, it's like again, like you said it earlier. I feel like this is why we like always um, just connect on the exact same wavelength. Like the things that you say, it's like I know how you feel when you say those things. You know, it's crazy. Like
That's rad.
when you said like naked music label, I'm like yes, like yes,
And then you start
yes.
feeling the feels and the smells and the
Like
places and the people.
hold on one sec, hold on.
Yeah. Hey, just between you and me, I got a confession to make. I'm kind of nervous to say this, but okay, I'll just say it. I'm waiting for him to come back into the room so I can cut myself off and make it seem like I was going to tell you a secret. But yo,
So I don't own it. What?
nothing.
Oh, what are you doing? Some crazy
Nothing.
things for the camera while I was gone? Oh, I know you were. I know you.
No.
I know you. I know you better than you know yourself,
My boy, your boy.
dude. So check this out. I don't have a turntable, but I do own two records, and so this is the first record that I own.
Hey, I mean,
Like
timeless.
timeless, absolutely timeless. And this is the second one.
Oh, that's. Wait, which one is that?
It's the wait,
Is that Aquanote?
You Are Love.
Oh, okay. That is that. I think that's one of the earlier ones. After Beautiful Tomorrow came out, and he started.
I think so. Yeah. So this one came out in '99. Dave Warren and Jay Denis,
Oh, dope.
and the incredible, lovely Lisa Shaw with the
I
vocals,
mean,
man.
forever, forever. Actually, you know what? Can you excuse me real quick?
Yes.
All right, 1 second. Hang tight. All right.
Oh boy. Oh boy, Elroy.
So there's a reason. There's a reason that this one is like in the indestructible case, and that is. So
Show off.
this is
Oh baby.
my naked music collection.
Yes. Oh my god.
Let's talk about Trentemøller for a little bit.
Oh my god.
Please. This was the last thing that Trentemøller did with naked music, and that's actually interesting because I was obsessed with Trentemøller. He was the last secret weapon that naked music pulled out and did something with that label that was never ever done before, and that was made it like glitchy,
Oh
glitchy,
man,
sexy
carte
type
blanche.
stuff.
Oh.
Yep. This is some Charles Webster. That's actually just kind of a mix. Oh, dude. if there's an album I could
Oh
say
my
is
God.
probably one of the best mixed albums of all time, and this is by far, I think, the peak of naked music. This is like when they hit their
I want to come over and just like play all these records.
Yep. Some Pedal Pusher. Of course, you got Rain Dancing.
Oh my god, man.
Literally like the dopest.
Sweet Love, yes.
Yeah.
Sweet love.
You know it.
Sweet
Yep.
love.
I got
yeah,
you on that.
There you go.
I'm telling you, some Aya, dude.
Oh
Aya.
my god, man.
Geez. Right?
Okay, you can stop now, okay?
Yes, sir. I got two more. This is another one that Trentemøller got on that was actually really, really dope. He did this remix. They used to uptown boogie down with the sound moving around. So good. And then and then this was actually one that was featured on one of Mark Farina's mix albums. I think this might have been on Connect.
Man, what
But
a throwback. This is just
right?
like
Yeah,
seriously
making music,
timeless.
dude.
Timeless. Like doesn't matter. Like 100 years from now, it's still gonna be pumping,
You and I are still going to be the same. We're going to come back, different forms and everything, and still be kicking it.
Right? I'm gonna
Um,
do like a dope discussions 80 plus.
so I mean, that's kind of like in a nutshell. That's what got me started into that type of house music. But then I started getting into artists like Bad Boy Bill, Mark Farina, DJ Irene.
Yep.
There's some really really great Chicago. I mean, of course, Derek Carter, Stacy Kidd. Um, Feeling just a lot of like more funky jack and jazzy stuff too.
Yep.
And it kind of goes in. I've always gone in and out of different styles of house music, and that's the thing is I've never really been so much like one specific type of house that I love. It's always kind of it always kind of jumps around depending on the year, what the music is coming out, what's coming out at that time.
100%.
But for
man.
some reason, dude, naked music and that style of house it's always there. It's always like, hey, remember me, like the dopest shit.
Like seriously,
Yeah,
it's crazy. See, like again, like even like our kind of like connection and tastes in specific music is like the same. Like
yeah, we never really talked about this, but this is actually really awesome.
I love it.
And then we got our whole crew of progressive house, tech house friends. Like I'm a huge fan of all of it. I love.
Of course.
There's so much good house music in so many different areas. I mean, and then when it came to trance, like when the only other time that I really got back into trance like ever, because that was like, that's like always the gateway drug to everything else, I feel like. But Cosmic Gate
Cosmic Gate
and Above and Beyond.
Oh yeah, I
Man,
mean, yes.
That's they're incredible. Like as far as making like real emotional and moving in like music that really takes you to a place and makes you feel a certain way, makes you remember a person that treated you right, or
oh yeah,
a friend you lost or something, that all that good stuff. But yeah, house music though, it always comes back to house music. No matter what it is, it always comes back.
Yep, it's in your soul, man. Like you can't get rid of it. It's always gonna be there.
Yeah, I usually tell people, I said, I didn't choose house music. House music
oh yeah, I feel you there, man.
Yeah. So hey, it's good to be here, and
thanks, man. Like I told you when we first got on the call, like to prepare for this. I told you like I have a really good feeling about it. I think it's gonna be like a really good conversation, and it sure is.
Well, it's cool, and we obviously can like talk about pretty much just about anything, but it's nice to be able to spend some time and also share some of these stories and the things that we love with all of you fine people out there.
Yes.
Thank you so much for hanging out and letting me tell my story, and thank you so much for letting me use your show. And
of course, man.
And what else are we cooking up tonight?
So a couple more things that I want to talk to you about. What are your challenges as an artist, right? As a producer, as a musician, as a DJ, as a beatboxer, like what are your like top, two things that you either struggle with or like your biggest obstacle of that like keeps you from moving forward or like from just like advancing?
That's a great question, and it actually, I think one of the biggest challenges that I've had as a producer that took way too long for me to figure out too. And I would just say, if you're somebody who is picking up production, if you're getting into the world of production, I think one of the biggest challenges that I've had as a producer over the years is learning how to give space to sounds, not to overclutter the spectrum. There are so many different ways to you can always layer more sounds, but there is also a way, instead of getting to the point where you have to actually start dipping peaks out, to like make room for other things, or side chaining. There comes a point when you literally just have so much stuff that like you can't put any more stuff in there. And I always like working and adding more stuff because I actually think as a producer, as a musician, more or less, I produce like a musician. So I like to produce songs. I like to
Right.
make songs, you know, even more than tracks. I love to make tracks, but I like to make stuff that like literally has like little glitches and pops and sick little drum fills real quick and make you go, oh, I didn't expect that. You
Like,
know, like,
ooh.
yeah, just yeah, my friend, Megan, she calls them, she call it, special parts. Because she calls it the special part. She's like, "Oh, you ready? Here it comes," and it's all. She's all, "You hear that?" I was like, "I didn't really notice that before." There it is, special
Yep.
parts.
Special
And
parts. Love it.
so that's the thing is, I always want to keep making music, whether it be deep house, whether it be hip hop, instrumental hip hop. Um, when I'm making stuff that's just literally my beatbox, for example, like a few layers of beatbox, you can boost that up. You can boost your EQs up. You can add some compression to it. You only have a few things to work with. But I think one of the biggest challenges that I'm always constantly faced with is that every song that I write is somehow different than the last one. And I pride myself on that before thinking it was a curse, thinking, oh, I can never make like the same exact song or same techno song over and over again.
I feel
And to
you.
be honest, I don't want to make the same. I don't want to make the same genre every time. I want to express myself. I want to make music that I'm feeling at that time. So that's what I do. But the biggest challenge for me is like wanting to have real thumping kicks, and then also to have like a real thumping bass line. And that's the thing is like if you're gonna have those things, they're in the same housing area, and you have to be really particular about not muddying it up.
Yep.
And everything has a frequency. If it's a saw wave or if it's a sine wave, they're gonna have pockets where don't they just don't sit in the same
Right.
place with other sounds that might have that. So that's always the biggest challenge for me is just kind of cleaning up a song. And so one of the things that I've learned is it's better. And thanks to Bobby DeFazio, um, who is an incredible, just all around human being, engineer, producer, or whatever. He teaches music, but he said one of his teachers taught him. He said if you're supposed to make the album, man, I'm gonna totally mess this up when I say this, but it's like along the lines of you're supposed to make an album from the beginning so that when you start, it already sounds like it's an album. You don't make a song and then try to make it sound like an album afterward. So
Makes
that's the
sense.
thing is starting from the beginning, making a tone that's real nice and clean, getting it to where you want it, and then you move on. And like I'm always wanting to kind of just like be like, all right, well, let's write the song, you know, and I'm throwing things in, but then
Yep.
I realize I have all these layers of things now
There's too
that I
much
have to go
stuff.
back and I have to doctor up. And that's fine, you'll make it work, but that's just so much extra work. It's
You're right.
such a carriage before the horse thing. So that's really like the main challenge. And it's a lot of fun too, because in the end, you learn something, you know,
You
it's
always
the
learn
path.
something.
Yeah, you always learn something. There was a quote: "Is the path to enlightenment is not learning what enlightenment is, but what enlightenment is not." And I think that's a huge part of like learning pain and pleasure. You don't really know what things are until you know what things aren't. You know,
Yep.
you'll never know what something truly is unless you know what it isn't. So I kind of
That's
feel like
that's very powerful. I love that.
yeah, yeah, definitely applies to so many things. But you know, making music especially is just kind of like make music that sounds good from the beginning and then move on. But then I think once I started to realize that, I started to get more into working with sounds that were more intricate and more staccato sounded, or more, you know, just more like punchy
Yeah.
and not so boomy and not. It's tough because I love pads, and like deep house and all that stuff requires a lot of warmth. So you're battling a lot of the spectrum with all these other sounds and stuff. So
But then
I guess
again, it's like you said, you learn like along the way, right? You learn what works, what doesn't, different techniques, different tricks or
different drum
plugins,
sounds or
something that you can use to get you the result that you want. And then after doing that, one, two, three, 10 times, you become an expert in that, and then you can share your knowledge, which I believe you're already doing, right? You're doing like an
yeah.
online teaching Ableton or teaching production thing.
Yeah, I'm teaching. I'm teaching Ableton, more or less not on such a technical level, but because like I said, when I started doing this stuff, it was like 90. what, 96 or something like that, 96, 97, I think, when it came out.
Yeah.
And like I was already making songs because the music was just there all the time, but like that's when I started making music. So I like write songs, you know, more or less than make tracks. So and Ableton is good for that. It's good for everything.
Right.
It's like I'll just say, what don't you want to do? That's Ableton. You know, like choose what you don't want to do.
That's so good, man.
But
And
yeah, that's the challenge, is just like making a clean sounding song that punches and hits right. So it just like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how Deadmau5 just has that really clean, very limited, you know, everything's very compressed and very limited and stuff. Like I want to make music necessarily. Like the goal is to make stuff that really hits hard and has just, it kind of moves around you and moves your body, but doesn't like have that like compressed,
no, I feel you.
just
I know
overly
what
bright.
you mean.
Yeah. Just like music though, you know, like,
Yes. It's interesting, the thing that you said earlier. Again, another thing that we are like similar in is when you like make a track, make a song, and then the next one that you make is completely like different. I have the same. I don't want to call it a problem because it's. I don't think it's
no,
a problem.
it's a blessing.
And just like yourself, like initially I was like, why can't I just make, you know, like 5, 6 tracks that are like similar, right? They're like in the same little niche, like a tech house or whatever, or deep house. Like I would make something that like I can't even slap a genre on it. It just doesn't fit any traditional formats. Like it's electronic, but like what else is it? Is it down tempo? Is it drum and bass? Is it chill? Like is it like trip hop? Like I don't know what it is. It's like a combination of multiple different genres that I like, or something that I felt in the moment, and I'm like, this sounds good together, and I'm just gonna roll with it and see where it takes me. But there isn't
Right.
like a I'm gonna sit down and make trance tonight. Like it, no, I don't. That like
No.
my mind doesn't work that way. It's like I'm gonna like play with my instruments and my sounds and kind of like see where they take me, and then
Right.
at the end I might have like a finished product, but like I don't know what it is, but it's something that I made out of nothing, and like this is my way of expressing my emotions, my feelings, my passion, you know?
Yeah, dude. And there's on top of that, because I completely relate to that. But on top of that, there's the challenge of, oh crap, I just got like some brand new synths, or I just got like some brand new plugins, and that changes everything that you've ever done. Now you can do it better, and you're gonna try to do something that was like that song, but it's gonna sound like this song now because, you know, like that's the hardest thing, is you keep growing your studio and you have these new toys and you're like, oh, and then you can make different music that moves people differently.
Right.
You have different tones. You're able to achieve something that you've never be able to achieve before. I just got the Repro 5 from developed by it's U-HE, Yuhi.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a digital synthesizer that is completely beautiful. It's some of the best tones I've ever heard in the digital synthesizer. And thank you to Andrew Emo, who is an amazing producer here in Chicago, one of the best, by far, for sure. And he told me about the synthesizer, and I was completely, it was like $120 or something like that. It was like worth every penny. He's like, honestly, if you get this, I don't even know if you're going to need another digital synthesizer. That was before I found out that Pigments existed, but it has such good tones. And then all the songs that I made after that, I can use these tones for, and I can literally keep the same style because I actually found something that I'm happy with. And then you actually have that problem solved where you can make another song and still use that. I think that's what really, really helps you stay into making like the same stuff again, is being happy with your gear and being happy with stuff that makes the sounds that you think reflect you in a way to the quality that you want people to reach or enjoy when listening to your music. So yeah, getting stuff that makes good sounds off the bat, I think, is one of the best ways to nip that in the butt. Because once you're happy with what you got, then you don't really, you know, then the next song that you make, whether it be trance or whatever, the drum and bass, they're still using those essential elements.
Right.
And so that keeps like who you are as an artist, that, you know, like that sound is you, you know, kind of thing. So that's the thing that I've definitely struggled with as far as trying to achieve over and over again. to hear the My Boy Elroy sound kind of thing. But
Right.
yeah, I feel you. The struggle is very real.
Oh, it's real, maybe.
It's fun though.
Oh man, I can talk to you like literally for hours, bro.
No
Um,
doubt. You too, brother.
One last thing is any general tips or advice that you want to share with the world, and any thanks or shout outs that you want to give to anyone out there. Now is the time to
Mm.
do that.
I'm just gonna say before I give the tip, like all the stuff you see here behind me is stuff that I literally only dreamed of having up until just recently. I literally didn't even own a pair of monitors. Making music all this time, literally, I didn't even have like a good pair of monitors until like not even 2 years ago.
That's amazing.
I've been dreaming of building something like this forever, and it was only after a really bad surgery that or really just a nasty, and it was a blessing in disguise. But I had a huge surgery where I had basically my head cut wide open, and I reached out for help and stuff like that. I actually got a lot more help than I was expecting because I knew this was going to be really tough. I was going to be out of work, and this was like my hearing was going to be completely impaired. So
Yep.
it was a big life changer. But I was able to get a little bit of help, a little bit more than I thought, and it wasn't that much. But literally, like I knew the universe telling me like this is a sacrifice you're gonna be making, and then you have this little thing here that can actually put you to where you want to be. So my advice would be like, look for the blessings. Look for the blessings in the curse. And things will always get better. You always got to just have hope and have faith that things will get better. If there's something I could say, is just like follow your heart, follow your dreams. Be good to yourself, be good to other people, and you can have whatever you want. You're connected to everything. You just need to ask with your heart and not your brain, and then open that door when it opens, because it will open. And when it does, take advantage of it and live your life and be happy while you have a chance, because this life is like that, like smile in the face of danger.
I love that, man. You're gonna make me cry now.
This is just like my personal advice through just personal experience. And
No, dude, this is
you know
amazing.
you never really know, you never know what you got until it's gone. And so
Yep.
definitely don't tell anybody what you can have and who you can be. Just follow your heart, and you'll be that person. Just allow that to happen. And for that, I have many people to thank. In fact, every person that's played a role in this, just to get here, to be able to talk to you, and just be surrounded by all the goodness that's in the world, given all the other bullshit that's happening, excuse my language, given all the other crap that's happening in the world, is first my family. Mom, dad, sisters, brothers, uncles, aunts, like all of them. They all played a part. All the friends that really believed in me, that boosted me up. I got to thank everybody that gave me confidence to know that when I beatboxed, it didn't sound stupid, because it's really easy to hear somebody do something and you say that's dumb, and they will literally believe that for the rest of their life.
Oh yeah.
They themselves can overcome that. So, words of advice definitely would include like being confident that you're doing what you love, and no matter what people tell you, it's what makes you happy. So keep doing that. And if you're lucky to come around people who are compassionate enough to just love you regardless and tell you that you can do whatever you want, the way that my mom did when I was just a little 9-year-old drummer, and said you can play with whoever you want, like that really, really helped me out. So, encourage each other. Give each other encouragement and confidence and blessings, because we need it more now than ever. And we can overcome some big stuff if we really give that to each other.
Oh man, just give a mic so you can just drop it. Yes. I love you, man. That was great.
Thank you, brother.
What a closer. Like,
thank you.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me, man. It's been really, really awesome.
Oh man,
it's been so nice.
So nice. I love you, bro. Seriously.
I love you too. And yeah, everybody out there, thanks for hanging out with us. Sharing the space.
See you in the next episode.
Hold on. Can we start the whole thing over?